Russell Wilson, without a doubt, has become one of the most polarizing players in the NFL. An early Super Bowl win seemed to set him on a path to greatness, but a loss on the big stage the following year reshaped his destiny in more ways than one. Special treatment and even fights in the locker room started that decline, and his weird interactions on social media didn't help at all. On top of that, then added when Wilson became the focus of the worst trade in NFL history, and things reached a boiling point. And not only that, but the discourse around his personality was taken to the next level. So in today's video, we're gonna go over times that players, coaches, and even analysts talk down on Russell Wilson and figure out what NFL players really think about Russell Wilson. Now, having worked his way up from a two-star high school recruit to the Wisconsin Badger legend, Russell Wilson declared for the 2012 NFL Draft as an intriguing prospect. He had a fantastic arm, great pocket presence, and immense college production, but his 5'11" frame left a lot to be desired. And really, many people were asking if a quarterback of his stature could actually survive in the NFL. And I think really the best way to paint this picture about how many people felt about him coming out of college is when he read his draft profile on the Dan Patrick Show.
Russell Wilson, his height will be his biggest inhibitor at the next level. Remains to be seen if he can throw effectively from the pocket at the next level. Not able to step up and into the pocket like other quarterbacks, make dubious late game decisions, sometimes opts to scramble too quickly before making all of his progressions. Although he has a quality arm, it's a quality arm. Although he has a quality arm, he'll never be a prototypical NFL quarterback. Could fit in as a part-time specialist coming off the bench.
Wow.
Like, I mean, truly, that's gotta hurt your confidence when people already think that about you coming out of college. Nonetheless, though, the Seahawks didn't agree with that assessment and took him in the third round. And even then, Pete Carroll has since spoken about how they were even tempted to take him one round earlier.
So when we went through the second round and didn't take him, and when we had that thought, and we passed to the next chance, it was really exciting for us because we knew we were going to do something that was going to surprise, maybe some people out there. We knew that we had a chance to get a guy that we were totally in love with, that might be the difference maker, and we knew that it was going to, be kind of a storm about it all.
Like, I mean, it's clear to see that Seattle had a very high grade on Russell Wilson, and it's even interesting to see how Carroll speaks about him, especially with what happens later in this video about him and their relationship. You see, just 1 month before the Seahawks selected Russell Wilson, they made a bold decision to sign Green Bay backup quarterback Matt Flynn to a 3-year contract. For a brief period, he was viewed as the future until Russell Wilson entered the fray and beat him out in training camp. It was a risky decision to name his new rookie quarterback as the starter for the season opener, and a shaky start against Arizona led many to believe that head coach Pete Carroll had made a huge mistake. Thankfully, though, Wilson regrouped nicely, passing for 3,118 yards, 26 touchdowns, and just 10 interceptions across his rookie season, earning the team a playoff berth. He also then tacked on 489 more yards and 4 scores on the ground to prove he could be a menace with his legs as well. For his efforts also, Wilson earned praise from around the league, landing 51st on the NFL's top 100 list for that 2012 campaign. Like, I mean, he had already proven incredible value as a 3rd round pick, and his peers were more than happy to write off any doubts about his height. Even Antonio Cromartie said this.
I gotta be 5'9" and 3/4. It just speaks volumes of what it doesn't matter what your size is, as long as you can get the job done.
Like, I mean, the fact of the matter is that Russell Wilson was proving all of his doubters wrong and even getting praise from highly regarded players around the league at this time. Like, even one 49er defender pointed out one of the skills that made Russell Wilson so special as a rookie.
Played them in Seattle, and I think everybody missed him. He goes back and he's scrambling around, playing like backyard football. Everybody's trying to dive and tackle him. Nobody brought him down.
Now he still looks. Now he turns and sprints back. He's all the way back to the 20. Still looking. Now he avoids another defender. Now he turns upfield. Now he breaks the tackle 30. Looks for blocking. Cuts back across field 35. Looks for the first down and finally dives down just shy of the 40.
That scrambling and rushing ability would prove to be a problem for the rest of the NFL for years to come. And little did Seahawks fans know at this point how far it would take them. Most importantly, though, Russell Wilson had made the Seattle Seahawks a serious contender now. Like, I mean, with him delivering well above his 3rd round value, Marshawn Lynch barreling over defenders, and the Legion of Boom doing their thing, the Seahawks were the new bosses of the NFC. They stormed to the Super Bowl in in 2014 where they beat a historically good Denver Broncos offense led by Peyton Manning. Then 1 year later, they asserted their dominance again, emerging as the best the NFC had to offer, heading to their second Super Bowl in as many years. This time it would be another great quarterback that they would have to defeat in Tom Brady, and with under 2 minutes left on the clock, everything appeared to be going to plan. The Seahawks were trailing by 24 points to 28, but held the ball at the 1 yard line with the clock ticking below 30 seconds. And the league's most physical running back ready and waiting to go to get the call. The only thing is though, Marshawn Lynch never got the ball.
Play clock at 5. Pass is intercepted at the goal line by Malcolm Butler. Unreal.
You see, that one fateful moment would trigger the absolute downfall and loss of the Seahawks locker room. And from that point on, the locker room would never recover. Pete Carroll was known for a coach who wanted to run the ball, but when he opted not to let Lynch try to get the touchdown, it shook the players' trust in him. And Chris Averill even told Sports Illustrated that when some guys started to openly question whether Carroll believed in his philosophy, guys started to be like, do you even believe in what you're saying? Like, for the coach to lose the complete trust of the Seattle locker room was a complete disaster. But yet there were even bigger frustrations starting to boil over in that room as well. And yes, while they did keep racking up winning seasons, things behind the scenes were getting very, very tense, especially amongst the defense. Are you looking for a new book this football season? BetUS is the answer. They have the fastest and easiest payouts in the industry, along with 24/7 personalized service, 365 days a year. Not only that, but they have live wagering on all major games, so if you see something mid-game and want to make a wager on it, you can. And the best part is you get 10% back on your net losses twice a year. And now look, you guys knew I had to come through with you guys for a promo code, so make sure that you guys are using code YouTube150 for a nice 150% deposit bonus on up to $2,000. That's right, we were doing 125%, but we said screw that, we're giving you guys 150% instead. Again, that is promo code YouTube150 for a 150% deposit bonus on up to $2,000. Again, thank you to BetUS for sponsoring today's video, but for now, let's hop back into it. You see, the Legion of Boom was a huge reason why the Seahawks were able to compete in back-to-back Super Bowls, and they believed that Russell Wilson's interception had denied them the opportunity to go down as one of the league's best units ever. Like, I mean, even before the playoff game, there were a lot of rumors going around too of just like a lot of players feeling that Russell Wilson was getting a special treatment. It also emerged during that 2014 offseason, Richard Sherman had almost started a brawl in practice, having intercepted a Russell Wilson pass in practice and throwing it back at him, yelling, "You effing suck." And I mean, considering that the team had just won a Super Bowl, this reveals a lot about how the locker room already had their reservations about Russell Wilson and a perceived special treatment he was receiving. And it's even been theorized and thought of, or at least rumors, that many people thought that Pete Carroll may have tried to pass the ball instead of running it because he wanted Russell Wilson to win the Super Bowl MVP and not Marshawn Lynch that game. Like, I mean, this perception amongst players created unrest in the locker room and was perfectly summed up by Lynch himself, who spoke about the lack of accountability Russell Wilson was being held to.
Pete wasn't holding him accountable. Sherm, you know what I mean, spoke up. He called up practice. We went into this little, we call it the Kumbaya room. We went in there to Kumbaya, and Pete tell him like, hey, you know, nobody go and talk to Russell. If anybody got something to say to Russell, come talk to me, come talk to, you know, the quarterback, but nobody go and talk to him. And that was when that shit, you know what I mean, where that started. Because it was like, well, hold on.
What you mean you can't talk to?
Anybody can go and, you know what I mean,
talk to anybody.
This that kind of zone.
Yeah.
This that kind of team. But you know, you kind of putting him, you know what I mean, on the pedestal or outside the, you know what I mean, outside of the boxing. It's like he don't have to be held accountable to the same shit that we do.
I mean, that certainly does shed some light on how Russell Wilson was viewed in the locker room. In an earlier part of that same interview tells you exactly how Marshawn viewed Russ as a person.
You didn't mess with who?
I didn't fuck with Pete. And then, I mean, you know, Russ was like just a quarterback for me.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it wasn't as...
You didn't have no relationship. You didn't have no kind of a relationship. Y'all didn't like go to a party. Y'all didn't get together. Y'all ain't doing it. Y'all didn't kick it like that. I mean,
Like, I mean, that look says 1,000 words on its own. And the craziest part too is that Lynch wasn't the only person that had a problem with him. The frustrations were growing the moment the Seahawks lost that Super Bowl, to the point where the locker room was split in two, with Russ on one side and the defense on the other. And it's not like Wilson helped himself either. One player told Sports Illustrated when guys would talk candidly in front of Russ, somehow all that stuff got up to Pete. And after a while, everyone made sure not to talk about anything that could ever be misconstrued near Russ. Some players believe that Wilson was also prioritizing his business interests over football, which takes us on to the next big contributor to Wilson's polarizing personality. Over the years, Russ has found himself going viral for several reasons, and to most outside of his circles, not necessarily for the right reasons. His Mr. Unlimited clip did the rounds in 2018, with many people taking to social media or the airwaves to mock the Seahawks quarterback.
I'm thinking about what my alter ego would be, and I think I have an alter ego. His name's Mr. Unlimited. You gotta be unlimited. You gotta have a thought process of being unlimited.
Nothing phases Mr. Unlimited though, who continued to pump out the cringy homemade clips while also producing another viral creation in 2022, this time in a collaboration with Subway.
You ever done anything dangerous? Jeez, that is dangerous. I've done something like that too. I won't tell anybody.
And not only that, I mean, when you add in just the catchy outros and just honestly everything that he has done, you get a player that you can see has generally struggled to be taken seriously throughout his career.
Go Hawks. Go Hawks. Go Hawks. Go Hawks. Go Hawks.
I mean, honestly, whatever you want to call it, whether it's being robotic, corny, or just fake, he was certainly rubbing people the wrong way. However, it wasn't all bad news though. DK Metcalf came in defense of his quarterback when speaking to Shannon Sharpe.
What is it about Russ that people get wrong?
Like, that's just him. Like, people call it square. Like, okay, if it's lame being a square, then I'll be lame too.
Right.
Like, if it's lame that you treat your wife good and you know that y'all seem happy and y'all are genuinely happy for each other, cool, I want to be that way too. Like, he's too good and too perfect that people can't see their life like that. And so now they want to hate on him. But like, that's just Russ.
DK was also very complimentary of Russell Wilson's leadership when he joined the team as a rookie back in 2019, going into detail of his incredible work ethic and efforts to bring the rookie wideout along with him.
With Russ, working out during the off season, it was me and him some days, and I'm the only receiver out there.
Route after route after route.
And it is nonstop with him because he want to work out in the morning, night. Woke up at 7 o'clock, ran on the beach just to go work out.
With this in mind, it can't have been all bad with Russ during those years after the Super Bowl loss. Perhaps by 2019, he had matured and taken on more of a leadership role, and in fairness to him, he was still performing at a high level. And I mean, yes, while no second Lombardi trophy arrived during those 10 years at Seattle, he did only miss the playoffs twice, earning 9 Pro Bowls during that stretch. All good things must come to an end though, and for Russell Wilson, that came in the form of a trade to Denver, who gave up a haul and a half in hope that he could fix their quarterback problem. They had been through quarterback hell in 6 years since Peyton had retired, leading them to send 2 first-rounders, 2 second-rounders, and several more picks and players to get him in the building, before promptly signing him to a 5-year, $245 million contract extension. And I mean, just like when Russell Wilson arrived in Seattle, he would be taking over a team that had fantastic defense and high hopes of becoming contenders. With a new head coach in the building in the form of Nathaniel Hackett and a talented roster at his disposal, Denver viewed Russell Wilson as the veteran presence to get them over the edge. He had Super Bowl winning experience, which is exactly what that roster needed as a leader. And for some, it appeared to start great. Tackle Calvin Anderson told Mile High Report that his presence is just different. He has the presence of somebody who has been to a Super Bowl and won. And not only that, has been to the Pro Bowl. He walks into a room and you feel his energy immediately. I think that's really helpful coming from a leadership position because he affects everyone else around him. Unfortunately though, not everybody had that impression of Russell Wilson. You see, upon his arrival, Wilson was assigned a private office and priority car parking spaces, setting an immediate precedent that he was more important than his teammates. This unsurprisingly did not go down well, especially when his performances left a lot to be desired. Head coach Nathaniel Hackett didn't even make it to the end of the season, and Shannon Sharpe took aim directly at Russell Wilson.
But I tell you what, I don't know who the head coach is going to be. The first thing you do, Russell Wilson, I'm locking this office. you will no longer have an office. All those parking spaces that you get at the stadium, they're gone too. Because you're putting yourself in front of the team. And I said it before and I'll say it again and I stand by it. You ticked a lot of people off with your attitude, bro. Now you can come out here and talk about we're a team and I'm good with my teammates, but deep down inside they seething, and I'm gonna leave it at that. Take it with what you want to.
And Shannon Sharpe wasn't the only media personality to go after Russ.
You know, I work the NFL honors. I work the red carpet. Kelsey comes by, Rodgers comes by. Russell Wilson shows up with his sunglasses and his wife, and I think they think they're Jay-Z and Beyonce, and they will literally put their hand up and say, no, we're not talking. Why? Because you think you're that cool and you're that famous and you're that amazing and everything is so perfect. That does not work in a locker room unless you are really good or really, really good guy. It just doesn't work. $245 million, that can come unraveled fast.
Kyle Brandt was quick to point out that Brady made half of what Wilson was making, and in terms of what the locker room thought of Russ, I think Mike Purcell made that pretty clear during the game. The frustration shown by Purcell came after the fact that Denver actually declined with Russ under center, posting a 5-12 record in 2022 that kept them at the bottom of the AFC East. Sean Payton arrived to become the next savior of the team, and it was clear that from the get-go, he was not going to be Wilson's biggest fan. And as reported by ESPN, Sean Payton told Wilson that to salvage his career, he needed to focus less on rushing. Like, will you effing stop kissing all the babies? He said, you're not running for public office. And I mean, honestly, this did work to an extent, with Wilson protecting the ball better and delivering a better looking stat line, but it was clear that his new head coach was trying to hide him in the game plan as much as possible. And when things began to get dark with 3 losses in December, Russell Wilson was benched to protect him from having to pay any injury guarantees that following year. All signs were pointing towards Russell Wilson losing his job in 2024. And that officially became true when Denver released him on the 13th of March. Like, I mean, to be released after just 2 years of a 5-year, $245 million mega deal said something that they did not want him there. And not only that, but it just showed how epic of a fail this was to have him brought in and then give him that huge contract and for it to not even come close to working out. Like, I mean, Russell Wilson had officially hit rock bottom. At one point, he had been considered a lock for the Hall of Fame, but his disastrous tenure in Denver looked to have single-handedly wiped that possibility off the board. I mean, honestly, it was just such a bad stint in the NFL that many people thought that his time in the NFL was completely done. However, that is until the Pittsburgh Steelers came calling. They signed him to a veteran minimum deal, and Justin Fields was also added into the mix and would actually be the former Chicago Bear who would start the season opener thanks to a calf injury to Russell Wilson. And even despite playing above expectations and leading the team to a 4-2 record, Tomlin made the bold decision to turn the team over to Russell Wilson once he was healthy. This was a move that brought Tomlin a lot of criticism in the media, with many questioning why he would meddle with the process that was working so well, while also turning away from a quarterback that had the potential to be the future to one that is at the end of their career. One Fox Sports 1 analyst, Mark Schlereth, who had won 2 Super Bowls with the Broncos back in his day, let it rip saying, do I think they may be able to compete for a playoff spot? Yeah, but the issue is, and this is what got Russ out of Seattle and Denver, Russ isn't willing to admit he's not good at stuff. He's delusional. If you're not willing to admit it, then you can't fix it. And I mean, if anything, this just sounds a bit spiteful, and as it turns out, Schlereth was totally wrong. Wilson unlocked the Steelers offense, winning 5 of his first 6 games in charge and looking somewhat back to his best. After 14 weeks, he had the team sitting atop the AFC North and with their eyes firmly trained on a playoff berth. Clearly, Russ has been a hit in Pittsburgh in a way that he absolutely was not in Denver, and he is costing them a fraction of the price. Overall, it is great to see him getting another opportunity to lead a team, and with them now in the playoffs, perhaps his Hall of Fame bid isn't just over yet. And if you want to see the 6 players taken before Mike Evans, then click this video right here.